Hello, my name's Rufus and welcome to my presentation on an analysis of Mount Vesuvius's evacuation plans. Okay, so firstly, why Vesuvius and why this volcano in particular? It's a volcano that's been erupting continually over the last few centuries, with a medium-scale eruption estimated to be once every 4 to 5 centuries, and the latest one happening in 1631. Of course, the most famous eruption from Vesuvius happened in AD 79, with a death toll estimated at 16,000 people, and the most recent eruption happening in 1944, meaning that it's a continual threat to the people living around the volcano. Scientists estimate that we'll have between 72 hours and 2 weeks warning before an eruption, so it's vital that any plan we put in place is quick and effective. The regional president, Vincenzo De Luca, in 2016 said that we have to equip ourselves to be prepared because Mount Vesuvius is a problem of gigantic proportions. And that's definitely true because approximately 600,000 people live within the red zone. So, what is the red zone? Well, La Zona Rossa, as it's also known, was first identified in 2001 by the Protezione Civile and includes the 25 municipalities in Naples and the Salerno provinces most affected by a volcanic eruption. In addition, there are yellow zones, which would be most exposed to significant ash fallout, and blue zones, which aren't shown on this map, but will be at risk from floods and mud flows. An evacuation plan would look at these zones in particular, as they are the most at threat from a volcanic eruption. Before we move on to the plan, I wanted to quickly mention some adaptations that people living in the red zone and the regional governments have made in order to make it slightly safer in the event of an eruption. First of all, no new buildings have been allowed to be constructed in this zone, and in 2003 the government even launched the Vesuvia programme, which aimed to relocate 20% of those living in the zone and provide financial incentive to each household of €30,000. In addition, a €724 million fund was also put forward for the demolition of unauthorised buildings, improved road communication, and developing a public awareness of strategies within the zone. Okay, so now onto the plan itself. Its main aim is to evacuate the entire 600,000 population living within the red zone, and a plan will be initiated with mobile alerts to signal to the entire population that there's the start of an evacuation. There are some differences regionally. Those in Pompeii will be evacuated to Sardinia by boat, and that's organised by their local council. But on a more regional level, they will be mobilising 500 buses and 200 trains for the evacuation and want to get it done within under 72 hours. So that would leave 12 hours for organisation, 48 hours for moving, and an extra 12 hours for security margin. In October 2024, a 4-day practice evacuation took place in order to ensure that everything was working efficiently and effectively if an eruption should take place. Of course, it's not just humans that are going to be affected by this eruption, and it's important that the Italian government takes a holistic approach when looking at the disaster management. One of those areas that they need to focus on are obviously the animals that also live in this zone, and Naples Zoo has been testing evacuation plans in the event of an eruption of Vesuvius or of other volcanoes in the area. They've used life-size animals to replicate animals under anaesthetic and practice annually in order to refine the plans and improve them. Over 800 animals are in the zoo, and that doesn't take into account all the other animals needing assistance within the red zone, so it is a large effort that's going to be needed to keep them safe. They've organised host zoos, including Ravenna and Fasano, to be able to take the animals while the eruption is going on, and then they can take them back once it's safer. Finally, there are some limitations to the plan. Despite a national plan being put in place, it's going to rely on local councils and populations to be able to implement it effectively. And so one limitation could be that people aren't sure what to do, and so necessary education on the plan and also on the risks of an eruption will be key to its effectiveness. And also, it's difficult to accurately predict the exact movements of ash. So the red zones and the yellow zones are all based on the current scientific models and what they expect will happen. But this is basing on predictions for a Plinian eruption that may not happen or that may be completely different. I hope you've enjoyed listening to a bit about the Vesuvius disaster management. Thank you very much for watching.